Blue lights flashed against the dark highway, cutting through the night. A luxury car slowed to the shoulder, its driver calm, composed, and unbothered. To the officer approaching with heavy boots and narrowed eyes, this was no ordinary stop. He saw only a black man behind the wheel of a car he deemed too nice. Smirks flickered across his face, assumptions forming before a word was exchanged. What he could not imagine was that the man he was about to harass was not just any driver. He was someone with power far greater than a badge on a uniform. Someone who held the fate of officers like him in his hands. Dr. Adrian Cole was no stranger to scrutiny. Born in Atlanta, raised by parents who instilled discipline and unshakable dignity, he carried himself with quiet strength. From an early age, Adrian understood the sharp edges of the world. He had been the student followed around in bookstores, the teenager questioned for simply existing in the wrong neighborhood, and the young man pulled over more times than he could count. He never let those moments define him. Instead, he studied harder, worked longer, and climbed higher. After law school, he joined the police oversight division, determined to hold accountable those who misused authority. His sharp mind and relentless integrity earned him a place in internal affairs, and soon after, he became its head. Few people outside the department knew his face. That anonymity gave him an unusual advantage. On that quiet Thursday night, Adrian was driving home from a late meeting. His car, a sleek black sedan, was not flashy but carried an air of success. As he passed through a suburban county known for heavy policing, his instincts stirred. The headlights behind him lingered too long. Then came the siren. Adrian pulled over, steady and calm. He knew the script. Hands on the wheel. Window down. No sudden moves. Not because he was guilty of anything, but because history had taught him caution. The officer who approached was young but carried the swagger of unchecked authority. His eyes swept over the car, then lingered on Adrian with suspicion. Instead of greeting or explaining the stop, the officer launched into probing questions about where Adrian was headed, why he was driving such a car, and whether it was really his. Adrian answered politely, but his heart sank with familiarity. This was not about traffic safety. This was about skin color and assumptions. What the officer could not see was the thick folder in Adrian's briefcase, filled with disciplinary reports on officers from the very precinct this man belonged to. Fate had orchestrated a collision neither of them saw coming. The encounter escalated slowly, like a storm gathering force. The officer demanded Adrian step out of the vehicle without explanation. Adrian complied, calm but watchful, knowing resistance could be twisted into aggression. The night air was cool, yet tension hung heavier than the humidity. Backup arrived. Another patrol car pulled in behind, lights flashing red and blue against the trees. Now two officers circled him, voices laced with suspicion. One muttered something about guys like him always hiding something. Adrian's stomach tightened, not from fear but from the weight of countless stories ending badly in moments just like this. They patted him down aggressively, ignoring his protests that he had done nothing wrong. One officer searched the car without consent, rifling through papers, dismissing explanations. When they found his government ID tucked inside his briefcase, the smirks only widened. Fake, one muttered, tossing it aside. The humiliation deepened. Passing cars slowed, headlights exposing the scene of a well-dressed black man being treated like a criminal. Adrian's chest burned, but he held steady. He had seen this pattern too many times in reports and testimonies. Tonight, he was living the very abuse he had spent years investigating. Minutes stretched like hours. They accused him of speeding, then changed it to swerving, then hinted at drugs. None of it made sense. It did not need to. Their authority was shield enough. One officer leaned close, voice low and venomous, warning him that people like him should know their place. Adrian's pulse quickened. Every insult carved deeper, not because he believed them, but because he knew the danger of unchecked arrogance. Still, he waited. He knew there would be a moment to reveal who he truly was. That moment came when the officers, unsatisfied with their intimidation, decided to call a supervisor to verify his ID. Adrian's briefcase lay open on the hood of the car, his credentials glinting under the flashing lights. The younger officer scoffed, bragging about how this stop would be funny paperwork later. What neither officer realized was that Adrian's name was known to every high-ranking official in the department. The call they were about to make would unravel their assumptions in an instant. The radio crackled as dispatch connected the call. The supervising sergeant answered, his tone casual at first, then tense as the name, Dr. Adrian Cole, was read aloud. Silence followed, sharp and cutting. The sergeant's voice returned, now urgent, release him immediately. Do you have any idea who you've stopped? Confusion rippled through the officers. They exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier bravado crumbling. Adrian remained silent, eyes steady, watching realization spread across their faces. The sergeant's words continued, sharper now. That man is the Director of Internal Affairs. Every complaint, every misconduct report, every case file goes across his desk. The officers froze. The mocking smiles vanished, replaced by dread. The weight of their actions, searching without cause, mocking, humiliating, sank in like a stone. Adrian did not move, did not gloat. He let the silence stretch, the power shift clear and undeniable. For years, these officers had wielded authority like a weapon. Tonight, they had used it against the very man tasked with holding them accountable. The flashing lights seemed harsher now, exposing every flaw, every wrong step. The climax was not in shouts or violence, but in the crushing collapse of arrogance. The hunters had stumbled into the gaze of the overseer. The officers scrambled, voices stammering apologies, but Adrian's silence cut deeper than anger ever could. He gathered his briefcase, dusted it off, and stepped back into his car with measured calm. Before closing the door, he looked at them not with rage, but with the weight of someone who had seen too many nights like this and far worse. He did not need to lecture them. Their own fear was punishment enough. The report he would file later would ensure accountability. As he drove away, the night seemed heavier, the road longer. Adrian thought of countless others who had not been able to reveal an identity that forced respect. Men and women who had been silenced, mistreated, or worse, simply because of prejudice. His position had saved him, but the question gnawed, should justice rely on status, or should dignity be universal? By morning, word of the stop spread quietly through the department. Officers whispered about the incident, their voices filled with unease. Some dismissed it as a mistake. Others realized it was a mirror reflecting uncomfortable truths. Adrian filed his report meticulously. Every detail, every violation, every insult was recorded. It was not about revenge. It was about change. The power of the story did not lie in one man walking free. It lay in the uncomfortable lesson burned into those officers' memories. And for the audience listening, the question lingers, how many times does injustice go unchecked when the person stopped has no title, no badge, no shield of authority? How many lives are altered by assumptions before the truth is ever seen? Because in the end, racism does not care about status. But accountability should never care about color.